Hey everybody, welcome to Harmon Garage. I'm Aaron, and today we're getting back on Evergreen. But before we get started on the old girl here, I just want to remind you, we're doing the giveaway on the custom-made air cleaner, and I'll show you a picture of it right here. But in order to be entered to win the air cleaner, you have to go to the merch site and buy something. Every dollar spent on the merch site equals one chance to win. So if you buy a $20 t-shirt, you get 20 chances towards the air cleaner, and so on and so forth. So don't forget about that. Go check it out. And if you're interested in the air cleaner or interested in some merch, either way, www.harmongarage.net, and that'll get you facilitated with everything. So that all done and said, we're ready to get started on Evergreen, and I'm pretty excited about this project, and hopefully that means it'll turn out good, and if it doesn't, we'll still have inner wheel tubs. So that's what we're doing today. I have some wheel wells that came out of a square body long bed, which, you know me, not gonna make my own tubs. If I can find something else that I already have that's gonna work, it's gonna save me some time, maybe. And they're already formed and made, and you know, all that kind of good stuff. Now, if you've been paying attention and following along with this project, you'll know that this is a fleet side bed, which is what our wheel tubs came off of. But you'll also know that this is a cabin chassis rear end. Now, if you know the difference when it comes to a dually, there's a cabin chassis rear end and there's a full width rear end. So the cabin chassis were built for like flatbeds and toolboxes and stuff like that, where the full width dually rear ends were built to have bed with dually fenders and all that stuff. And they were more made for stabilization for towing, where the cabin chassis were more made for stabilization with weight on top of it. That's my understanding, or that's how I see it. I'm probably wrong, but that's what I'm going with because that's what I think. So anyways, if we had a full width dually rear end, that wheel tub should just go sit on there, cover that inner dual, the whole outer dual would be outside the bed, and we'd be in good shape. But since we have the narrowed rear end, if I try to put that wheel tub all the way up against the bedside, it's gonna hit the tire. So before I explain anything else, I'm just gonna go get the other camera, set it up right about here, and I'm gonna explain everything that I'm doing right there. And then you guys will see what we're getting after, and then we'll get after it. Okay, so now I've got a lot of stuff going on here, and I'm going to break it all down for you. So first things first, I've got this piece of aluminum angle iron sitting in here, if y'all can see it. I got this sitting in here, and I'm using it as a straight edge. So what I needed to see, which I've kind of already done to figure things out before I got started. Imagine that, I kind of got a plan. Anyways, I'm using this as a straight edge, and I'm setting it across from this brace to this brace. And I measured from the frame up to the bottom of my straight edge here, and I've got 5/8 of an inch. So the reason I did that is because I need to put some sort of bracing on top of the frame, probably two of them in here, like one here and one here, to run across. So when I put my wood bed floor in, I have something that supports the middle pieces, and not only that, but something to attach it to. So I found some scrap metal that I had laying around over there that was some leftover stuff from when I built my wife's birthday bench, and it's within 1/8 of an inch of the right thickness to run across there. So that wood that we're putting on here, not going to notice an 1/8 of an inch difference, and everything's going to work out. So we're going to put that on in this video also, but we're going to build our wheel wells first, and then we're going to run those braces across and fasten them to our wheel wells. So our wheel wells are going to be attached to our braces front and rear. They're going to be our braces in the middle, and at the end of the day, that's just making the whole bed all one piece, like I've mentioned over and over again that I want to do. Making it all one piece, and it's adding structure to it, because that way it's just more stuff that's put together, that's welded together, that's going to make the bed stronger and stiffer. So anyways, now that I've got through all that, I don't need this anymore. So I've got my wheelhouses, wheel tubs, wheel wells, whatever the heck you want to call them, and they fit fairly nicely in between these braces. So if I take this wheel well, like so, line it up with the edge of the frame, which, yeah, that should work. We'll just weld to the top of it. But anyways, line these up with the edge of the frame. We'll put these on here. Then, as you can see, I've got a small gap in between my wheelhouse and the side of the bed, which up here, 7 1/4, 7 1/4, 7 1/4. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit of off measurement because it doesn't sit flat, so I'm going to have to level it up. But either way, I run this across here, set it on those, and that's going to be a good way to get them centered where I want them, and a good attachment point to attach them to. So I can bring this in here. I'm going to have to clean up both ends, and I'm going to have to clean up this side. And I have a ridge here that is not going to affect me in any way. It's going to be sitting up still higher than this opening here would be, so I don't need to cut it off, and I probably won't. I'll probably leave it in there for stiffening purposes so the center of the wheel tub is stiffer. But then when I get that all in here, like I had it already, like so, then I'll weld this on, and then I'll come in here, and I got a big sheet of steel over there, and I'll come in and fill this in between here and here. Now, I've been going over this in my head a whole bunch of times, and there's like designs and stuff in these wheel tubs and whatnot, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to duplicate that when I fill this. I mean, I'm not using super thick metal, so I might be able to kind of weld it and bend it out and bend it back and do what we got to do, but I can't guarantee anything. So at least if I thought about slicing this down the middle and putting this edge up against here and putting this here and filling the center in, but I'm going to be in the same boat either way. So if I leave it like this and add to the side, at least I have strength in the middle, because to help stiffen it up instead of just having this big span with nothing in there. So I'm gonna get some tools out here and I'm gonna start getting stuff cleaned up, and metal wise, rust and whatnot. And then I'm gonna get the welder out here and I'm just gonna go ahead and tack both fenders in, or inner wheel wells, whatever they are. I'm gonna get them measured up and tacked in. And then once we have them all tacked in, then we'll start building our braces for the center. And then once we get that done, then we'll start working on filling this stuff over here. And just keep on keeping on. So, I'll be right back. All right, so I was sitting here looking at this, deciding what I was gonna do, or if I liked the idea or whatever. And I was looking at it and I barely have, at most, a half an inch here, and that's at most. And I come up here and I have even less. So let me get out of the sun. At the end of the day, this is gonna have a wood bed floor, so I have to have something at least half of this, preferably more, for the wood to sit on, because if I don't have anything to mount the wood to, unless I weld in like a whole frame and all that, and we don't want to do all that. That's too much. It's unnecessary. So I've kind of been sitting here bouncing my head off of the wall, figuring out what the heck I'm gonna do. And I think what I'm gonna do is take some braces and mount them here, so the top of this is mounted. I'll mount my braces here, so these are mounted permanent, so they're connected together basically, so they're permanent where they're gonna be. And like I said, I'll put a couple, at least 2, if not 4 braces along there where I'm gonna have to skin it, and weld them to here, weld them to the side, weld this down here, and that should make those pretty solid in place where they're gonna go. And at that point I can come back in and I'll cut this off. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it at the inside of this rib. That way I'll have the whole rib to set the wood on. And then I'll replate it to make it full. Sorry, I know I like lose my train of thought or stutter a lot, but I'm thinking about what I'm doing as I'm telling you, and my brain don't always work the best. So I'm looking at it, and if you look here, here's my center of axle. If you look at the wheel tub, it looks like it's got a little bit more behind than in front. So I can probably, I don't know. I think I'll just leave them where I'm at. I'll trim some front, I'll trim some back, and and then after I trim them down, I'll, what I said. I'm gonna cut them off so that I have somewhere to mount the wood, and then I'll plate the ends of them so that they look good. And we'll just go from there. So right now I'm gonna mark them where I need to mark them. I don't even need to mark them because I'm just gonna cut them in place. But I gotta do the other stuff first. I'm gonna start making the braces, and I'll show you guys what we got going on. Okay, well, I finally got my head wrapped around it to the point that we're at now, where I can actually start doing something other than just sitting here thinking and talking about it. So I got my cross braces that I need in there cut out, and like I said earlier when I did the measuring, those need to sit flat on the frame to be the right height for our wood to sit on. And as you can see right now, they're 3/4 of an inch up, which is perfect because I drop them down 3/4 of an inch and they'll be, trust me, it's gonna work out. They're gonna be perfect where they need to be. Now, I want to weld them onto the lip of our tub here, and because that's where I'm going to get the most surface area, I can weld around here, and it'll be good and stabilized, which is going to help our braces be stiff, but it's also going to help to stabilize our inner fenders, if that makes sense. So that being said, in order to do that, I have to drop it down 3/4 of an inch, 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch, we'll say 3/4. And I'm gonna cut it on the inside of the braces. I got it marked front and rear, and we'll come up. I think for right now, I'm just gonna come up, I'm gonna measure 3/4 of an inch. I'm gonna come up and cut that 3/4 of an inch out, and then I'm gonna set it down, because then I can spot weld it in place. And then when I start doing my filling here, then I can fill this also. I can cut the rest of this back and fill it in. So that's the plan. That's what I'm gonna do. Or maybe I'll cut it to the body line up here and make it right here, and then just make it go straight from there down to here, and then that takes these body lines out and makes it look better. Yeah, so for the meantime, we're gonna notch those so we can set it down, and then we'll start getting it mounted. And I forgot to tell you, if I drop it down 3/4 of an inch, that's gonna bring me closer to my tire here. Now I measured my opening here. I've got 5 inches, and I've only got 4.5 right here. So you might be able to see I put a mark right there and a mark over here. I'm gonna start here, and I'm gonna bring a radius up right to the top and go back down to follow the curve of the tire, and that'll give me the same opening that I have in the bed, which once I get shocks and everything on here, there's no reason this thing should travel far enough to hit the bed unless it's really loaded down, and I don't plan on hauling anything in it. So 5 inches of travel is a lot. It should be plenty. So I'm gonna trim those out so that they give us all the travel that we have. I'm gonna trim them out so they'll sit down where we need them, and then we can set our braces down and get stuff cleaned up. We'll start welding, and then once we start welding, we'll start filling on the sides, and we'll be going in the right direction of getting our wheel tubs in. So I'm gonna get them pulled out. I'm gonna start cutting on them, and we'll start putting them back together. All right, I got these notched the 3/4 of an inch. I got it notched for my wheel clearance here in the back, and I went ahead and cleaned all the paint off and got clean metal from the body line to the body line, so when I go to put my filler in and weld it up, I can get a good weld without having to get in there and try to grind it in the truck. I went ahead and tried to clean this up. I got the rust busted off, and I got a decent amount of bare metal. I should be able to get some weld in there. And I already got this one set in the truck. So what I'm gonna do now, I got it where I want it. I'm gonna take measurements off of here one more time to make sure it's sitting straight and like I want it. And then I'm gonna come out with the welder. Probably should have cleaned this up before I put the fender back in, but I'm gonna come out with the welder, and I'm gonna tack the fender in here. And then in the front in the same spot. And then once I get it tacked in, I'm gonna start getting my piece made to fill up here. And I think I'm just gonna run a piece across the top and down to here. And then we're gonna cut right above our body line to take the body line out of the back and straight down. And then we'll take a new piece of metal and just make it come straight up. There's no right way to do this. I mean, there might be, but is my way the right way? No, but it's my way and that's how I'm gonna do it. And nothing a welder and a grinder can't make look better if I screw it up. So that's the thing about metal work. If you screw it up, you cut it out, you weld it back together, you grind it off. At the end of the day, it's not done till you're finished with it. So I'm going to get that tacked in. I want to get this fender set in place and then get this one set in place and then get my crossbars in between it and weld it in. So we're going to tack, put something up here, tack. I might run like a piece of rod, some small rod like here and there, just to hold the placement of the fender. And that'll make it easier when I go to do my filler. And then I can get both of them in like that and then get my center braces put in. And then at that point, we'll just have to start filling, which filling is going to take a while. It's going to be a lot of welding, but that's the payoff. Like right now, it's like, ooh, we're putting some wheel tubs in. But at the end of the day, when they're all done, it's going to be like, wow, look at those wheel tubs. So they're going to be kind of fat, but not the only thing around here. It's going to be kind of fat. So I think it'll look cool. We'll have a nice wide wheel tub on both sides. Nice wood in the middle. I don't know that I have room, and I haven't decided yet, but I thought about putting a gooseneck ball in the middle of the bed. Not that it ever be used, but just for looks, to give it that work truck dually presence. So I don't have a lot of room. As you can see, there's very little room between the top of the rear end and where the bottom of the wood's gonna be. I mean, we're talking like 2 inches. So maybe I'll build that up a little bit in the center. No, I don't want to step. I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to keep it good. So we'll see. I guess once I get the wood on, we'll see how close it actually is, but it looks like it's gonna be pretty close. But I've done the same drop on many trucks, and I've never had my differential bottom out on the bottom of the bed, so we should be fine. I'm gonna pull the welder out here. I'll pull the camera out here. I am gonna use rods for there to there, there to there to hold it in place. I'll get those out here and I'll get measured, and we'll start putting these inner fenders in. Okay, I was just kind of eyeballing and grinding down some spots to hook my supports up here that I was telling you about up to. And I probably need to try to get some clean metal here too. Okay, so now I should have the stuff that I need ready. Here's my supports that I'm going to put in up here. Get the welder mode engaged. Getting old sucks. Alright. Now, like I already mentioned, I'm going to weld this here on the corner. Same thing in the front. And then I'm going to put my supports in up there. And then this one will be somewhat installed. And then we'll come over here to the other side and do the same thing. And keep on moving. I'd say that's pretty solid. I can move the truck with it. So now that we got that done, gonna do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll get our center braces put in. So I'm gonna give you guys another little break. I'll get this other side to the same point that we got this side, and then we'll get our center braces put in. Alright, I got both fenders just tacked in place. Now, I know roughly where I want these cross braces to be, because I want them as far apart as I can get them. And there's a flat spot in the frame that goes from about right here to right here. So I want to try to get them right the best that I can right there at the front of that frame. But I'm going to measure and make sure that they're in the same spot on both sides. About 9.5. About 9.5. Not too bad. That means things are lining up. We got our tubs started. We got our braces in, and we're making good progress. I wanted to get this whole job done today, but not to make excuses, but I haven't been feeling the best. I got a terrible headache and my nose is driving me nuts. And I spent most of the day thinking, trying to figure out how I was going to do it, which I don't normally have to think as long as I did on this one, but this time I did. Don't ask me why, I can't tell you. So I'm going to call it a day for today. I'll come back over first thing in the morning, and we should just have to fill it, which will be cool, and then our tubs will be done. So hang tight, we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, as you can see, I got my straight edge out here. The reason is I brought it out and laid it over to make sure that everything was pretty square, my rods were straight, yada yada. And then I went along all the way with around, and I put marks on the bedside straight out from this. That way I know where to take my grinder and clean the paint back and make sure everything's smooth. So when I lay my piece in and weld it, I'll have clean metal to weld to. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to take my grinder here with the with the flapper disc on it, just going to kind of, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not just going to make a tiny little line right where I need to go. I'm going to clean a good area to make sure I got it all covered. And then when we go to start welding stuff in, I know we'll have clean metal to do it. So. All right. Sorry about the wind, guys. That should just about do that. I'm going to switch over to a cut-off wheel. We'll turn around, focus our attention in the other direction, and we'll take some measurements and take our metal and cut out a piece to put in there. I thought about making up a cardboard template, but I shouldn't really need to. I took a bunch of measurements on that, and pretty much just need it to be, for the first piece, we need 42 inches long. Seven and a quarter wide. Okay, I'm going to get my straight edge and mark this the best that I can. And then once we get that done, I'll pull the cut-off wheel over here. We'll cut this piece out. We'll get it ground down so I've got good clean metal to weld on. We'll take it up, start getting it put in. Alright, let's see how good a job I did. I think that's going to work. I think we can't get it ground somewhere. Start getting this tacked in place. I got that piece all laid in there and spot welded in. I'm gonna have to go back and, you know, bounce around and get it all welded solid, and then we'll grind it down. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said before, I'm gonna cut these fenders off straight through this body line. And then once I do that, I'll make a new piece that goes, I'll make it go this whole thing, but I'll make a piece that goes from here out to here, and it'll all just kind of blend together. So I'm going to use a calculated measuring tool here. And we're gonna come up like so. And we're going to come straight across here. Like so. And that's not by any means straight, but the fender kind of rolls, so I guess I need to like take this. Alright, that might not be straight either, but it's square with the bed. So I'm gonna get this cut out with the cutoff wheel. I'll do the exact same thing I did for this piece here and make a piece for there, cutting it out of my material over there, and then we'll get this piece in. I'll bring you guys back. I'll show you some stuff here and there. I'll give you some updates, whatever, but right now I'm just going to zip that off and make a new piece for it, and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, I got my cardboard template here cut out to the shape that we're going to need to fill what we cut out in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and trace it onto my metal and get it cut out, and then we'll clean the paint off of it so it will. And we'll just keep on carrying on the way we've been doing. Okay, now with any luck whatsoever, when I go to do the fender filler for the other side, I can take that piece over there and lay it up on that fender, that inner fender, in the same spot that this one was cut out, and I can trace that out on that inner fender and then just cut it out, and I'll be able to use the same piece again. I'm hoping that's the case, but who knows. So I'm gonna get my cutoff wheel over here. I'll cut this out. We'll get over there and get ready to put it back in. Okay, I got that template all made up like you saw. I got it traced out on my metal. I got it cut out, and I got it brought over here. Everything cleaned up and got it tacked into place. Looks pretty good. It kind of follows the shape of everything that's going on there. And I think once I get it all welded up and smoothed out, it'll all kind of flow and look good. So I made it that far, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I guess that's all I can do is guess, because it happened, but I kind of just like got in the groove and was going at it, and I was able to use part of the template from the back, which I got a piece here I'm gonna have to fill, but I was able to use pretty much the template from the back, cut it out, got it tacked in up here. So from 50 foot away, which I'll show you, it'll just take me a second to walk over there. No, I'm just playing. But hey, look, from back here, it's got a fender in it. An inner fender, wheel, tub, whatever you want to call it, in there. And personally, I don't think it looks that bad. Once it's all cleaned up, and I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the inside of the bed yet. I don't know if I'm going to body work it and paint it. I don't know what it is with me, but I'm all about the inside of stuff being nice. I want the inside of the cab interior to all be nice. I want inside the engine compartment under the hood to be all nice. And I kind of want to make the inside of the bed all nice. Leave the outside of the truck ratty. I don't know, that's just kind of the vibe I got going. But we'll see what happens. I'm not the greatest with the bodywork aspect of it, and at the end of the day, for how I repaired the tailgate and left it because I wanted that look and whatnot, I guess kind of a unfinished build, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going for. I got the vision in my head of what I want, but I don't know what I'm going for. But heck, I could leave that like that and say, woo, it's got a fender. But I'm not going to. We're gonna spend the next decent amount of time here, and I'm gonna go through and keep going around there all the way around until I get it all filled in with weld, and then we'll grind on it. So I'm gonna set the camera up on a time lapse, and I'll just sit here and weld and weld and weld, and when the camera battery goes dead, that'll be it. And when I get done welding, I'll change the camera battery, and we'll get the welds cleaned up pretty good, and maybe even get a DA out here and smooth it out. I know it sounds crazy. We probably won't go. We'll probably go that far. So I don't know. I'm gonna get to it, keep working. I want to get this hammered out, so I'm gonna get the hammering. All right, well, that was a heck of a lot of welding, and that's all the rest of the welding I'm going to be able to do today. I was going to try to get both fenders done for the end of the video, but I'm going to put the video up today, and my batteries went dead in my auto darkening welding helmet, and I welded probably the last 10 or 15 minutes of this without it. So I'm not going to do that anymore. It ain't worth it. So here it is, all welded up. You may say, that ain't all welded up. There's big gaps there. And you were right. There is enough weld there that inner tub is never going to break loose from that bedside. And this whole area here, all the way around will be seam sealed, and then it'll be truck bed coated or painted or something. Down here, there may be a few gaps here and there, but the wood's gonna butt up against this on top of that, so I don't even have to really grind that good. I just gotta smooth it out so the wood will sit in there right. And that'll be covered too, and that's plenty of weld to hold it. So basically what I gotta do is weld this, or grind all this down smooth, grind all this down smooth. Same in the front, get it the best we can. And then once I see what it looks like when I get done grinding, we'll decide how much further we're gonna go with it for right now, because there is more metal work slash body work that I need to do on the bed. And if I am gonna put some filler or something on anything, I'm gonna do it all at one time. I don't want to do a little bit here and a little bit there and this and that. So like I said, I started at the back of the truck. We got the fenders most of the way on. They just need to be finished welding and a couple braces put in. We got the tailgate done. We got all the braces made and the bed mounted. And I got one of the two wheel wells 85.6% done. So we're making good progress. Once I get the wheel wells both done, we're gonna custom build a roll pan for back here. It'll be a one-of-a-kind Harmon garage roll pan. It might look like total crap, or it might be the coolest thing you've ever seen. We'll find out when it's done. But once the roll pan's fabbed and the inner fenders are done and I finish up, I just got to clean this up, finish welding. There's a couple dents on this side I want to pound out. The other side's got a little rust I might want to fix. And I need to fix where I cut the side marker lights out. Other than that, the bed itself should be pretty much done. So I still have to notch the rear. And then once I get the motor and trans in, we got to clock that rear end and lock it down. But once the wheel welds are done and the roll pan's done, and you know, just repeating myself again, we don't have that much left to finish up the bed. And once the bed's done, we're going to move forward and do cab corners, rockers, and the bottom inside of the passenger door needs to be repaired. And then once that's done, engine, trans, interior, all the fun stuff. So I'm just going to keep rocking and rolling. I can't work on this every day, but I have to work on it enough to get it done in time for the show. If I haven't mentioned the show yet, Truck Gathering, Guthrie, Oklahoma. Link to the website's in my description. Go check it out. It's April, I keep forgetting to double check the date. It's either April 18th and 19th or April 19th and 20th. But go to that website at the link, it'll tell you. I'm gonna be there with this truck if you don't already know that. But I'm gonna get a new flapper wheel out, and I'm gonna get the grinder set up, and we're gonna get the grinding on this thing. I ground it all down pretty good, and basically what I found out from doing that is I'm going to have very little filler in it to make it perfect. I mean, I'm actually pretty impressed with myself. It's pretty good for me, but it's not good enough to just throw paint on and say that's good enough. So I'm going to have to skim coat it with filler. Since I have to skim coat it with filler, I'm not going to go and trying to get all the weld lines out of it, because all you're doing when you do that is just making the metal thinner. So I've got 80 grit on my DA. I'm just going to go ahead and go over it all real good, so when we do come back and put filler on it, I'll have something for the filler to bite to. A lot of people say 80 grit's not enough. I'm not going to say I disagree, but I have 80 grit right now, so we'll go ahead and use it. All right, I got that one inner fender, wheel well, whatever you want to call it, all fabbed up, welded up, ground down, sanded. Not gonna say it's 100% like ready to put filler on, but I will say that it's pretty darn close, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. I like to think that in my mind up here that I'm like some high-end professional metal worker, and I'll be like, bam, I'm gonna put this in. I'll take my time, I'll weld it right, I'll grind it right, I'll sand it right, and it'll look like one piece of metal, like it never even got welded, and I won't even have to put any filler on it. No matter how hard I try, I'm just not that good. But you don't get better unless you do it, right? So I'm gonna keep doing it. Hopefully someday I'll get better. But anyways, like I said, I can't finish up the other side. It's in here. It just needs the ends cut off and the filler panels put in and ground and sanded and yada yada, and it'll be done. But we did get one side done. That's a huge accomplishment. Like I said, I'm happy with it. So these corners ground pretty good. Some high fill primer would probably smooth that out, but this is actually pretty dang level. Like if I took the time to actually keep grinding this down, I bet you I could get it to sand out to where you can't see that seam. It's straight. It looks good. This corner sanded out pretty good too. That probably could have sanded better. I might still come back and sand it more. But I don't like grinding too deep, because I'm the one that goes, oh, I just got this one little spot left, and then I get the metal too thin and it cracks or goes through or something, and then I ruin it. So it's looking really good right now. I'm really happy with it right now, and I'm not opposed to an extremely skim coat of filler, and that's all it would take. I mean, clean that up to bare metal, scuff it up, a little bit of filler, a little bit of sanding, but like it's lined up good. Like you look down the edge of that sucker and it's straight, like across. I'm proud of myself. I'll do the other one the same way. We'll do a little bit of body work on them, get them painted, and I'll be proud of myself for what I did. I am proud of myself for what I did. But anyways, I told you I can't finish the other one because the battery on my welding hood is dead, and it's 35 minutes minimum to go get another one. So that's an hour plus travel, plus going to the store, plus finding the battery, plus getting back, putting everything away, taking everything back out, yada yada yada. It's a 2 to 2.5 hour process to go get a battery. So I'm gonna call it quits for today. I'll go get a battery tonight, and then I'll finish up the other side off camera. You guys don't need to watch me do 2 of them. You already seen me do this one. Of course, there will be many more videos on this truck, so you'll see the other side done. But as of right now, don't forget about the air cleaner giveaway. Check out the merch site, harmongarage.net. The link to the website is in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this. Y'all have a good one, and I'll see you next time.